Okay, welcome Multnomah Village, week 90, Justice for Qadira. And, of course we keep getting out here because we can't get our voices heard, which is very peculiar because we are living in America and it shouldn't be this hard. One of the things I want to talk about today is just the fact that we got a little feedback from some students at Ida B. Wells about the protest, and I just want to say that the community is doing a great job of teaching children how to tune problems out, and that's fabulous. You're really making great gains with that strategy. I've actually had kids say that, the business community hates us up here, and everybody hates us up here, so what they do the minute we start talking is they just tune us out, like we tune everything out here in our society. And then we like to complain as the problems proliferate. One of the things I want to segue off into, because it's just there's so much conversation about it, and I just want to put my idea on the table because I think Portland is headed in a wrong direction. I really think, for the homeless community, I'd like to see us start a program. We could call it like Reclaim Your Value. And then I think that people should be offered individualized care plans to be able to help them actually come back to society. And hopefully, we can start building a society that people want to come back to, because a big issue today is most people want to check out because even if they were to be doing everything right, that doesn't mean they're getting treated like they matter. Me and my husband experienced this in our situation. We didn't do anything wrong here. These people abused our daughter. There was a bunch of people that jumped in and abused her more, then abused and misused, every available avenue for redress that we could possibly have. And now, of course, we're being, effectively silenced. And it's not helping solve anything. It doesn't make what happened go away. It doesn't make the protest go away. It doesn't improve anything. Just like this dumb idea of throwing people in camps. If you're going to put somebody in a camp, that means you don't like them, and you don't want them to succeed, and you don't care what really happens to them. Again, which is why I think we really need to work on starting programs where we're offering people lots of options in terms of how they, reclaim their value back in society. Because that's what people need. And if you took money that was allocated for services and tied it to individualized plans, well, then, you'd have somewhere to go back to when things weren't working. You could go back to the assigned caregiver and the assigned social worker and say, hey, this person hasn't improved at all. We gave you $5,000. How come it all is gone? Right now, I just see, our government, they keep saying, oh, we have a solution for you. It's like Measure 110. Mayor Wheeler comes out. He's the big man on campus, right? He's going to roll back Measure 110 and show us how it's done, because he's going to sweep all these people up and put them in a camp, and that's going to somehow improve things. No, it's not going to improve things, because, again, it just goes back to you're not treating people like they matter. And what happened to the $300 million that was allocated for addiction services in the first place when that measure passed? See, he never has to answer for his behavior, and that's a big problem. Just like they never have to answer for covering up this crime, they never have to answer for having tampered with the system and abused the system. That's the thing. We're allowing our politicians a lot of leeway, and all they have is poor ideas. And what I notice is, just like a regular citizen, I've been dealing with the leadership for a long time. Both me and my husband have, because we've been trying to work this problem out peacefully. What I noticed, like generally on planet Earth, people don't know how to figure out problems because violence is always a go-to method, even for the well-educated. We see that, presidents resort to war to get their point across or whatever. I don't think you can get a point across with violence, but people are not taught to think outside of the box with any of these issues. Like, nobody in the Portland government can think out of the box with this situation, which is why it's going on and on and on. And me and my husband, what we've decided is we're happy to do this for the rest of our life. We're happy to come up here for the rest of our life till the day we both die and put these rallies on and talk about how to solve these problems, because our experience has been that we've been treated like we don't matter. Our family has been treated like we don't matter. You know, our daughter was treated like she doesn't matter. And ignoring that, that's not a solution. And so we're going to have to start actually dealing with what's here. And, you know, when I look at the situation with the homeless community, it's very sad. I look at that problem and I say to myself, you know, when the first person went to go live on the streets, that was the time to get them everything they needed to get off the streets. Now you have thousands. And there's no, like, making the problem easier to fix. You're going to have to get to know these people. You're going to have to create, like I said, individualized care plans and start treating them like human beings if you want to return your society back to functional. Because I don't really get the whole camp idea. Are we going to lock people in the camps all day? Because the same people who are depressed, isolated, lonely, drug addicted, whatever issues have led them to the street, well, when they're out and about during the day, I mean, it seems to me you're going to get, you know, all of the same problems and behaviors. You know, maybe minus the tents. I doubt it'd be minus the tents, though, because they're not even going to, they're not even suggesting they're going to put everybody in a camp, because that's not feasible. So nothing ever works. We're just always, I just feel like with government, they just put forth ideas that don't work. Nobody wants to listen to anybody else. I mean, apparently, like, if you're not a politician, you're stupid. Because me and my husband are out here making all kinds of suggestions, and we make the suggestions because we've been dealing with these people, and nobody wants to acknowledge that. For 16 years, we've been peacefully dealing with these people, and they just do. What I'm shocked to find is most people administering our society really honestly believe it is their right, via the authority of the power of the state, to do whatever they want with that authority. And, you know, for those of you who think there are checks and balances that are going to save you from that, well, we're living proof that they're not. And it doesn't matter if you're a good citizen and you're not violent and you own a home and you raise your kids and do all of that, because me and my husband have done all that. And still, you know, when I venture out into the community, especially on social media, the lies that are being propagated about us, you know, the hostility I encounter, the vitriol, it's really all nonsensical. Because, I mean, we haven't done anything wrong except for get out here every week and explain to you that we're having this issue. And again, we have to come to the community because we've went everywhere else for redress. We spent all the time and energy. We put all our time and energy towards that over the last 16-year period. I mean, the first 14 years, you didn't know much about it. Some of you might have come past our house and seen, like, you know, the sign on the side of our house, things like that. Or maybe you were friends with us on social media and you saw the beginnings of this fight. But we haven't had our day in court. We don't get to really put these issues out there because obviously, you know, the media is completely locked down by, you know, the people who don't want anybody to know about this. And the only reason you don't want anybody to know about this is because you don't want to fix it. And not fixing it, again, that's not a solution. So,
I mean, it's really not an option, folks, for us to not ever figure out what happened here, because it was really serious. There was a lot of tampering with our medical system. There was a lot of tampering with our judicial system, with the legal system. There is corrupt police officers covering up evidence. They're covering up for crimes. Folks, that can't be happening here in a community if you want the citizens of that community to be safe.
I don't even know really what to think of the police force right now, because we've talked about this. I mean, new information came to us. We, you know, instead of using it for our own aims, we tried to trust the police again, which we've tried to do time and time again, and they continually slap our family in the face and never do anything. But having delivered this serious information to them and them not doing anything about it, like, that is not helping, you know, me respect them. It's not helping my husband respect them. And, you know, it's hard for the community to really, how do you foster respect when that's how you're behaving? I mean, I'm really confused about what the police force here in Portland is for. I will tell you, as a person of color, every time I've gone to them for help, they've treated me like dirt. They've treated my husband like dirt. They've treated our family like dirt. And I'm just beginning to question, as the city devolves down, what the whole thing is for. Because again, we're really good at wasting every dollar. Every dollar. Like, I don't know why the community isn't going to the police and saying, hey, if you're not going to do your job, you know, who's involved in this? And if you're not going to do your job, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, because you're paying for that. You know, we're paying for this mayor and governor that we have right now that they keep putting forth these silly ideas. I mean, I heard we're putting another $200 million towards homelessness, and I bet you next year we'll be talking about how nothing changed, because nothing ever changes, and nothing will change, I believe, until we start, like I said, tying funds to individualized plans, you know, and the more options you offer people, I think the more you'll see that they do want to help themselves. So
I want to disagree with my wife here. I do think that things are changing, and I don't think they're changing for the better.
Well, no.
So we're going to be looking, even after they invest this $200 million, we're going to be looking at an even worse condition by next year.
Oh, no, I agree.
Because that has been our trajectory. It doesn't matter how much money we throw at a problem, we never actually try to solve the problem.
I know, I
just
agree
put
with that.
Band-Aids, okay, on, you know, the side effects of the problem, but we don't actually go for the root of the problem.
Well, it's like what they're doing with the protests. The Band-Aid is don't cover it, you know, so that's a way of covering it, because they don't cover it. So then nobody really can get down into, because our story has so many moving parts and because people don't read anymore, it's very, very difficult for people to sort out, you know, what actually happened here. It's really easy to just say they're the problem, they're lying, they're this, they're that, instead of, you know, looking at, you know, what is possibly going wrong in our administration. But I do want to say I do agree with my husband. I do think things are going to get worse. And a big issue is, you know, we just want this one size fits it all, you know, throw some people in a camp or throw them on the side of the road. You have to give people a reason to want to live, okay? People on this planet don't want to live here anymore. And if you get out there and start talking to them, you will realize that this is a serious, serious problem, and it affects rich people, poor people, middle-class people. Suicide is a huge problem. So, I mean, when you're dealing with, you know, people who are now living on the street, you have to realize you're dealing with a very traumatized person. Urban homelessness is just a bizarre condition in and of itself, because I don't even know how we allowed it to proliferate, because, you know, most of us were born in homes and, you know, people weren't living all over the road. And now we're just, you know, we allowed that to go on. And now there's like anger at the people who are on the street when actually what they need is help. And then we throw all this money at, you know, these one-size-fits-all solutions that don't work. Because, like I said, if telling somebody to get their tent and go sit in a camp, that's not trying to help them. Even if there are some services at the camps, they're not going to be good. I mean, we've seen Wheeler's track record with trying to get funds to homeless people. They wasted them all. I don't know where the $300 million even is, right? This is what keeps happening with the government.
But, I wish we could go home.
All the money goes away. And I'd love to go home, but I mean, honestly, nobody, again, this crime just continues to get covered up, and we can't get, you know, engagement, appropriate engagement from our leadership. We're told, I don't know.
The community at this point.
You know, and we're told to just go home and take your lumps, and who cares that all your rights were completely violated and that the rights of your children were violated? How is that the American thing to do? You know, I really hope that, I wish that more Americans would be able to see this protest, because I think that getting out and trying to communicate something is way better than burning stuff down, breaking windows, fighting, calling names, you know.
Shooting people.
I get out there and you know, just because we are doing this, I try to talk to people and there's a lot of hostility growing. So I don't doubt that this country is headed towards a civil war because people just do not know how to communicate. And our leaders don't even know how to help us do that. Like, I think it'd be really cool if Mayor Wheeler would come down here and have a discussion with me and my husband on camera about this. Because really, that's what you deserve as a citizen. Your mayor, your governor, your law enforcement, they should be able to deal with difficult issues so you don't have to. That's what the taxes are for. But that's not what's happening here. So that's why we keep getting out here. This story needs to be told because it's very frightening that this even happened to us. I mean, the way they were able to pull the wool over our eyes.
What's even more frightening is that it is still going on. Folks, there has not been one effort, not one single effort made to correct the issues in our system that caused this problem. We know that for a fact, folks, because they refuse to address this or even acknowledge that it was a problem.
And they can continue on with this strategy. I think it's a poor strategy. Like, I think a lot of their strategies are poor because, for us, this is a very sustainable thing. We're not taking donations. We only do it a couple hours a week. We've gotten more and more comfortable with public speaking and being out here and talking about our issues. And so, that's fine. Nobody wants to do anything about it. We'll talk about it maybe 5 years from now when you're ready to come to the table. When people are mature enough to start acknowledging their reality, which we're having a big problem with that on planet Earth today. Nobody wants to acknowledge their reality. Then we're not going to move anywhere. But, for me and my husband, we'll just be here because at the end of the day, fighting for our daughter, we have to fight for her. She has medical problems for the rest of her life because of this. And she was slapped in the face and not even given an apology, much less compensation to deal with any of that. So we're just going to keep getting out here and talking and talking and talking because that's all you really can do to change things is talk. I know that, our leaders teach us that at some point you have to revert to violence, but
folks,
we don't believe that.
That's simply not true. Okay? The only way that we are ever going to change anything in this community or on this planet is if we are able to come to some mutual understanding. Okay? Without a mutual understanding, without some kind of compromise, we're not going to be able to solve one single problem on our planet.
And that's why we're spinning our wheels and things are devolving down more and more because as the population grows and we lack communication skills.
I've got a new song in SoundCloud called Sweet Sweet Love. In the coda I'm singing it. Oh yeah, that sweet sweet love that I knew is mine.
Okay,
cool,
we'll check it out.
Can you sing the first verse of the song?
No, not during the protest,
yeah,
but
maybe after.
Maybe later.
Yeah, after.
Look it up later.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. We're just going to have to get serious about sorting our problems out, and I just don't see it happening. And I don't know when we're going to get there. I can't believe that we can't sit down with our public officials and have a conversation about this, especially after what just came to light.
Or any other community leader.
Yeah, it's just disturbing.
Where are, like my wife's been saying, where are our religious leaders? Where is the community here?
Are there any leaders in this community?
Where are the leaders of this community? Where are they?
I don't know.
Isn't that something that the leaders of this community should be dealing with? Don't we look like something that the leaders of your community should be dealing with? And why aren't they?
I just think it's interesting. I don't understand the strategy here, teaching our children that certain people don't matter, certain people's issues don't matter, tune people out. In this really white community, what I'm hearing from the kids at Ida B. Wells is really disturbing because they're literally, the racism is being ingrained in them because we are people of color and they're being taught to walk past us. So now you're doubling down on your racism and you don't even know it. But you're also teaching them, as these camps grow, as people suffer more, just walk on by.
Yeah, it's not your problem.
None of your business.
Right.
And
not your garden, not your weeds.
That's right.
Right.
And if something happens to you, shut your mouth. Go kill yourself, I guess. I'm really shocked at what I felt from law enforcement has been an effort to incite violence.
Enjoy your 2 court dates coming up. I'm going to make sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
We hope to see you there.
This guy wants us to enjoy our 2 court cases because, of course, we have to vilify and try to destroy the people of color who are fighting for their rights, because that's an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, that's that's productive, right?
That's productive.
That's productive.
It's not appropriate. It's what they did to Jesus. You know, he asked people to care about one another, and they cuffed him and killed him and tortured him. So I think it'll be very interesting. I mean, if the community wants to have us arrested and fined because our daughter was abused and we weren't fined enough there and we weren't tortured enough there, that is a choice for you. But as you end up closer and closer to living in hell, don't cry out to God. You've made your choice. You know what I'm saying? You're choosing to treat people this way. I mean, it's really indicative of where we are in our new inclusive society that this white man just drove by and in his privilege let us know, the black people on the corner, that he will be using his privilege to harm us. And he does that openly and blatantly. And you know,
without response from the community.
That's what you know, our communities of color are actually dealing with, while we pretend in our education, in our schools, that this is something we actually care about and that we want equal rights and diversity, but we don't, and we show our kids that.
See?
And we're going to show them some more.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, I mean, I love it when the white community comes out and really shows their vitriol and hatred, because we do need to put that on the table. Because me and my husband, again, we're good community members. We haven't done anything. We spend 2 hours a week protesting, and there are people who would see us punished for that. You know, it doesn't matter that we work, that we've raised our kids, that we own a home, that we're not really that we've done no damage in this community. It's actually the white people that burned up our daughter and tried to cover up this crime that created all the problems. But
they're not considered the problem.
No, we're the problem.
We are the people of color in your community are the problem.
Right.
Even though we didn't do anything.
You want them chased out. You want them whipped, burned, whatever you've got to do. Kill it with fire, right? Kill it with fire.
Get rid of us by any means necessary.
Any means necessary.
Okay.
Don't address our problems because, you know, you feel that you know, a lot of you feel that the white people that harmed our daughter were in the right because you feel that was their right. You don't want to admit that to yourself. You don't want to say that out loud as a community, because you could put it in the paper and say, you know, we believe in harming people of color in our community. This is how we treat people, and we're proud of it. Be proud of it. You know what I'm saying? Because people should know. You shouldn't say Portland is this inclusive place and you want people here, and then when they get here, you beat them and torture them and ignore them and treat them like crap. I mean, I personally would appreciate it if people would be upfront about their racism, because it's really something that's very difficult to get around. It's blind hate.
Yeah,
like the guy that just went past here, that's blind hate.
Yeah, because he hasn't taken any time to know or understand what happened here. He's just white. He's using his privilege, and he's going to roll by, and he's going to admonish the people of color.
Of course. And that's what we're teaching here in this community in Portland. You know, and it's not going to get us anywhere. That's why things
not productive.
That's why things continue to come apart. It's very actually disturbing and sad to watch. But you know, what can we do? I mean, we're the ones that had our rights taken from us. We have to fight for something. You know, and it's interesting to me that people would say we have no sound at our rally, because as pacifists, what other form of protest would you suggest we do? Do you want to go back to I don't understand. It's like people are crying out for the violent protest. They don't like the peaceful protest because they don't actually want to think about changing anything. And, you know, when you encourage people to violently protest, then you automatically make it so there are people in the community who are adverse to that because they're being harmed. But on the other side, if you try to get out there and communicate something, well, then you still have people in the community who are adverse to that. People are adverse to us communicating our story because it's true. So, and we're not allowed, the thing was, when this all happened, is our daughter was supposed to die, we were supposed to be silenced, we were supposed to commit a crime or do ourselves in, so we wouldn't be able to talk about any of this. And this is what I mean about inciting violence. Luckily, we're pacifists, so they haven't been able to incite violence in this community. But what I'm saying is they are trying, and they're trying to get it done legally. Like, they want to bring us to the court and cause us a bunch of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because what they'd like is violence, not to come to any kind of understanding or work this out at all. And that's shameful. It's too bad.
But folks, like I said before, we're not going to get anywhere here on this planet without trying to establish an actual understanding. And that understanding should be a foundation, okay, that all global citizens, human citizens, should have. Okay, and you'd think that we'd already know this by now, but if we don't start focusing on taking care of people, just because they're here, just because they're alive, just because they're human, you know what I'm saying? Not because of what they can do for you or what they own or, you know, how much money's in their bank account, just because their lives actually matter. We're not going to solve any of our problems. We're not even going to get close.
It doesn't help, like, if we go to court and they try to fine us or whatever they're going to do over this protest, that's not going to solve this problem. It's still going to be happening. We are still going to be upset about it. And my question is why would you want somebody to stuff that? Why would you want somebody to stuff their problems? That, to me, tells me that what you would prefer is violence. And that is concerning to me because I see communities all over Portland devolving down into violence. And why are they devolving down into violence? This is the same thing that's going on here at this rally, is people's issues aren't being addressed. Another thing I want to say is the people in the village, you guys are really privileged because, you know, if you get on social media and just see what's going on downtown or in Southeast Portland, the people there would probably love a rally like this because we pick up our things and leave. They're being surrounded, you know, in neighborhoods by homeless camps because people are being ignored and treated like garbage all over the city. So it's just interesting to me. It's like, do you want to live in a filthy hellhole? Why do you want me and my husband to go away? You want us to go away so the people who did this can keep having their jobs so you can encounter the same thing? So maybe one day you'll go down to the courthouse and be subjected to a fraudulent proceeding, or you'll go to the doctor and the doctor will lie directly to you and not be held accountable. I mean, what are we trying to build here? That's one of my biggest issues when I look at the homeless situation and suicide and all this stuff going on in our society. We're not really trying to build anything very nice. You know, the people that like to lord over everybody, they're miserable too. It's not as if the environment they created is some type of, you know, utopia. Although I've had people defend Portland just like that. Oh, what do you mean? Everything here is fine. Everything here is not fine.
It's not fine, folks.
It's not fine.
And we can personally attest to that.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's just silly for people to want people who have had issues in our society to be silenced. What you want, on the other hand, you want people bringing you their issues, because when they bring you their issues, they're not busy strapping on a bomb. They're not busy breaking your window. They're not busy burning your business down, because they are busy communicating. And you should want to communicate with them and help them.
And that gives you, okay, as a community member, an opportunity to solve a problem. You know, you have the ability, you know, we are creative people and we are creative problem solvers, but only if we understand the problem. But what we have not done here, and what has not happened here, is our community has not tried to understand the problem. Now, you want to blame that on our delivery? Folks, it is not on us. It is not how we are presenting this thing that is making you disinterested. okay? What's making you disinterested is that you have learned to disregard people, okay? When it is not convenient for you, okay? So you just disregard us because we are not a convenient thing for this community to be experiencing.
Well, it's the thing is they felt they had this in the bag when they attacked our family, and since they don't have it in the bag, and we figured out what happened, you know, now they've just taught you all to be angry at us for talking about it, which is so backwards. But again, you know, I don't see a way forward with that, because we're never going to forget that these people burned up our daughter and tried to kill her. It's just not something you forget. It's not something you can just set to the back of your mind and say, yeah, I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, especially when the person has lifetime injuries that are not being addressed because of this whole silly, ridiculous cover-up. We have all these laws. Why can't we just apply the laws to this case? Why? Because we're black people? I don't know. I'm trying to. I've tried to work with the police. Okay, see, he just evolved down into being a child. You know, you come to the corner and you call me a cunt. Like, how appropriate is that?
Do you think that that's going to get us to leave here and not come back?
It's interesting to me because me and my husband tried to go to the courts and we were thrown out, and none of our issues were addressed. How did that help? Why isn't that man angry at the people who tampered with the system instead of coming out here and using foul language towards me? You know what I'm saying? And me and my husband, we take a lot of abuse in this community, which doesn't bode well for you guys.
Get it out of your system. Fine. You want to be racist? Come down here and be racist.
Or misogynistic, or whatever you got to do. You want to spit on somebody. You want to hurt somebody. You want to cause us more distress.
You want to treat us like we don't matter? Come on and get it out of your system.
Bring it. Show your kids how to act. Show them. Let's show the world what we're about here in Multnomah Village. Let's do this. Oh, here.
Let's
give you a flyer.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we're just trying to get people to
just open up. Just open up.
They're terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're horrible. They're absolutely horrible, and they don't want to change, and they don't want to give anybody any opportunities. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, we've been criminally cited twice. We've got court on the 31st and the 6th.
Just for doing this.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but no.
I mean, it's a free speech. This is a free speech. It's a protest.
We'll see what the judge does. Judges do what they want.
That's in our experience, you know.
It's too bad. But we need to keep working on this as a community. And yes, absolutely, just tell people we're here every week. Hopefully, we'll be allowed to come here every week. I don't know. I mean, if we are penalized via protesting like this, the whole protest community loses. Yeah, exactly. You know. So, I mean, I think it's an issue.
Yeah, because, I mean, freedom of speech, if we don't have that in this country, then we don't have anything.
We're done.
We're basically living in some kind of totalitarian, dystopian future that was described by George Orwell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why we continue to get out here and do this, is because this is supposed to be our right as an American citizen, to come out here. When you have a grievance, you should be able to share it. You should be able to talk about it. Nice to meet you, Brody. Thank you very much, sir.
It's really cool when people can come up and be supportive.
And be mature.
And be mature. That's an awesome thing to see.
Offer support when they can see that people are distressed.
And people are, you know, I think there are a lot of good people out there. And I hope that, you know, we start seeing more of them. Because it's like the crappy people, you know, they are really taking up way too much of everybody's time and attention. I mean, they're all over TV, but they're also the ones that like to come out in our community and show their faces. And those of you who silently support, unfortunately, you're kind of allowing these people to make your community look bad because you're not getting involved. So
you're not out here defending this. I mean, all we should be getting from the community is sympathy. I don't know why people want to come out here and feel like it's their right to abuse us. We are not here trying to abuse you. We are just trying to be heard because we experienced something in this community that is so extremely serious that we feel compelled to come out here.
And I also want to let people know that we have been punished severely for this. We've already been fined. We had to pay our daughter's abusers. We've been subjected to all types of fraudulent proceedings. Why do you want to hurt us more? And how does that help your community? How does that help Ted Wheeler or Tina Kotek or anybody who should be taking responsibility for this take responsibility for it? It's just what I see with the homeless community. Everybody's mad at them, when what you need to do is be caring about them, because we've all helped create this situation here. So, why we cannot be more compassionate, that's another thing we need to dive down into. We know some people are tired of hearing our story, but we can't be tired of hearing one another's stories if we want to fix anything.
If we want to make anything better here, and folks, that's all we are trying to get done. We want to help make our community a better, safer, more inclusive place, and we're telling you none of that can go on if we continue not to deal with what happened here.
Yeah, and not to deal with a lot of our problems when it comes to people. Like I said, we've tried our best to, work with law enforcement, work with the community. We've tried to work with the businesses up here even. This is not the trucker protest. We're not out here all day. We come basically 1 hour a week. But what's really sad is if you want to completely mute somebody. I'm not sure why the community wants to mute me and my husband. Yeah, we're good parents. We took every measure to help our daughter, which is why she's still alive today, when the government completely fell down on the job because they just decided they wanted to cover up for pedophilia instead of actually address it, which is what we see going on nationally with Epstein's playbook. So I don't know why everybody's so mad at us. This is not something you should want to cover up in this community. You should want it solved. Also, it's like, there are other victims, really, truly, seriously, that I'm telling you, I'm not going to put this information out there because I'm not trying to incite violence or inflame anything, but it exists, and the police know all about it, and it's not their right to leave somebody who is that sick living behind a school, but whatever, and not being monitored, but whatever you all wish to go on here, I don't feel like it's my place. I don't have any control over it. Me and my husband, we're not going to try to force you to do anything.
But we will
say what we think. I think we'd be doing a lot better in the world today if we stopped listening to the people on TV and the politicians so much and started talking to each other.
Yeah, because, folks, we can creatively solve problems together, but what is happening with our leadership is they are basically stopping us from communicating with each other and actually working together to make our community a safer and more inclusive place.
That's one of the things that we'd also like to push for is, in schools today, we need to be teaching kids communication, civics, and financial literacy. We're not teaching any of that. No. And people are not learning how to get along in society.
Our children are not learning practical skills in school. So we hold them hostage for 12 years of their life. And we basically don't teach them anything.
We don't teach them anything.
And then they come out and they are not prepared to deal for the mess that we have created here.
We're not teaching them any basic survival skills. Kids are not learning their way around a courtroom. They're not learning anything about the civil and criminal legal systems that they're going to have to use or they're going to end up in.
They're not learning anything about their medical system.
No, they're not, because they're not learning how to communicate. They're not learning anything. You can't just stuff somebody's head full of facts for years and then give them no skills in the real world. It's funny to me because we're standing around wondering why so many people are ending up in the streets, and like I said, they haven't learned a thing, not a thing in school to help them. And beyond basic reading, writing, and math, what are you really learning in school that you remember, that is useful, and that will help you in your adult life? I would say nothing.
Folks, I don't remember very much of anything that actually applied to my adult life from school.
No, it's like being kidnapped for 12 years, and then it's like, what? Well, you come out and you don't learn much. You don't even learn how to not respond to a problem using violence. I mean, because kids, we're not spending enough time teaching them how to communicate, and what we're getting is adults that have zero communication skills. So that's why you don't see our public officials down here trying to communicate with us. Instead, they want to cite us, say we're committing a crime, and then I guess bring us to the court, and we'll see what they want to do. I mean...
That's fine. We've been trying to get our day in court for a long time.
Yeah, if they want to go to a trial, we'll talk about all of this, because this is why we're out here. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. We'll just represent ourselves. I mean, if this is not a right here in America anymore, this country is over.
Yeah, well, then we don't have any rights,
The free exchange of ideas, I mean, if you're going to mute that, then you don't really have a civilization anymore. So,
not a free one. Not a free one.
You'll get an authoritarian hellhole out of that, which is really the way me and my husband kind of already live, in terms of we're already experiencing the authoritarianism, because we're second-class citizens. So, I mean, when you are downgraded to second-class citizen, or when you've been a second-class citizen your whole life, it's just an experience that you have. So, although I have to say, when our daughter was abused, I never thought they'd do something like this. Every move these people have made to cover up this crime has been a surprise to me. I really thought in the last month, once that new information got turned over, this thing was going to turn around and we'd be off this corner. But no. They've doubled down. They've just doubled down. They want us to be the criminals.
Determined to
it doesn't matter what we do.
The criminals and punish the victims.
We cannot, they're just determined. They give us slips of paper, crime, go commit a crime. They make sure that when we tell them how upset we are about this, that they do nothing about it. I mean, one of the tactics they literally use is actual silent treatment. So that's something we've been experiencing. So it'll be interesting to see where this community wants to take this. But like I said, downtown, I mean, if we literally are imprisoned or fined or whatever for doing this, then I guess what we're trying to do here in the village is just reenact the crucifixion 2.0, right? You're going to get us out of here, get those people off the corner. It's really sad, and it's sad to see our kids learning this, because it's not going to bode well for this city or this world.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm totally with you. I guess today you're a little bit louder, and I almost swerved, because so if it's possible to be like this, but down a little bit, I almost hit this.
Okay.
So I'm totally with everything you're saying, and I've been following.
And I totally hear you, and we would love to turn it down if we could get more community support.
I think her choice said today you were a little bit louder than I've been used to, so I don't know.
Maybe just because of the day it's clear or something like that, but we're just as up as we usually are, so...
So, again, for people who have concerns about the noise, I mean, we want to work this out. We've been trying to work this out since the night it happened. And we would love to just turn it off and pack it up and go away and have the problem be resolved, which is why after our daughter was burned, we got an attorney, and why we've tried to go to the police, and why we've been trying to get this worked out, but nobody will help us. So that's why we can't leave the corner, and why we can't turn it down, because we can't get any help. And turning it down never helped us. Turning it up doesn't help us. Not dealing with it doesn't help us. Nothing, we're not getting any help. So again, to her point,
folks,
we would just like to get some help here. Yeah, this is not our day of a good time.
We don't want to be out here, okay? We don't want to be bothering. We don't want to be disturbing your morning cup of coffee,
or your driving,
that's not
or
what
any
we're trying
of it.
to do, folks. But
we're trying to
we can't stop doing this, okay? With the way that things are, we can't stop doing this. And then we're not going to leave our community in this condition.
And we can't leave ourselves in this condition, because you have to understand, we're compelled to get out here because this is so upsetting. And it's just every day for us. And it's really nice for the people who can ignore it, and it wasn't your kid, and it didn't happen to you. Good for you. But that's not our experience. And we would love nothing more than to resolve this. We have sought tirelessly behind the scenes to resolve this. and we've gotten taken for a ride every step of the way, and the people who took us for a ride are not being penalized.
And unfortunately, the people who took us for a ride are the ones who are in control of your community.
And they're not going to admit that something's not working. I just heard the mayor said, oh, it's time to admit that something's not working. That's what we need to do. Well, ignoring this is not working. We've been upset about this for 16 years. We'll be upset 16 years from now. We'll be upset 16 years from now from then. We'll be upset till the day we die. We can't control not being upset about this until there's actual resolution.
Until there's some appropriate response, because we have not received not one appropriate response.
Yeah, it's just
not
shut up and go
any
away.
Aspect, of our society, not from any aspect of our society.
It's literally been shut up and go away.
That's very immature.
Yeah, immature.
I don't understand why you think that, giving us the middle finger and telling us to shut up and go away is anything that is a productive.
She thinks that because she's been taught that. She's a child.
Okay.
She's a child. There's a lot of children on this planet.
She was at least 60 years old, okay?
Child.
She was at least 60. But she's sitting over there acting like a child.
And we have a lot of this immature behavior going on the planet. We don't know how to exist in our spaces together, not on the race issue, not on the sex issue. Like, we haven't figured out, and again, this goes back to lack of communication skills.
We've rolled back the age of consent.
Yeah, we rolled back the age of consent like a Walmart special. I mean, people are going in and getting all kinds of stuff, when they're children. They're not even having to wait till they're adults. The adults aren't being taught to communicate. I mean, a good chunk of the abuse we take up here is from older white people who apparently had no mommies and daddies and have no manners. It's shocking.
Or still racist, I don't know.
Or just, the racism is ingrained, it's embedded, you don't even know you're racist. Like right now, most of the people that are helping to teach the racism here by ignoring this protest, they don't consider themselves racist, they just consider us the problem. It's very easy to never address your issues when you always make the other person the problem and you don't think outside of the box on how to solve the problem.
No, if you don't take any responsibility, for the cause of the problem, then, folks, how are you ever supposed to solve anything?
And so what I don't get, it's like Todd and Amy burned up our daughter, and then it was the medical community that didn't treat her, specific doctors. It was Judge McShane and Rudy Lockemeyer and Scott Kotcher that ran the fraudulent trial. They had all the power the whole time, but somehow, it doesn't matter how we tell the story, we still end up being the problem. But again, like I said, that's just a common practice on this planet. It's always the person.
It's always the victim.
It's always the victim that's the problem.
It's always the victim getting blamed. Qadira got in their way of their hot tea kettle. That was her fault, right? She was a 8-year-old, second grade, 59-pound child. Yet this whole thing was her fault, right?
Right.
No, folks. No, that's not reasonable. Okay?
No, it's just not reasonable. It's not reasonable to say that, because we're upset about that, that's our fault. I mean, it's interesting because I think we've responded appropriately. We've cared for our children. We've cared for ourselves. We've taken care of our marriage. We are up here, modeling a form of protest that Portland needs desperately, and then we're being criminally cited for it. When businesses are complaining, we don't want our windows broken out. We don't want our businesses burned down. Well, then why are you not supporting peaceful protest? You make literally 0 sense. And I've even had people say to me, well, that doesn't mean I want that because I don't support you. And it's like, okay, but you don't support the form of protest either. You want this protest shut down. I don't know what that would do to our supporters, you know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of people out here who are supporting this. And, I don't know how they're going to feel about, this community getting this protest shut down. So you guys should think about that because not everybody hates me and my husband. You might, but not everybody in the community actually hates us. So you might want to think about your actions because actions always have consequences, right? So we are out here keeping the peace on this thing. You should want us out here keeping the peace on this thing. Okay. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, we're going to shut it down. It's 12:12. We're not going to be out here forever.
And we're not. We're not. We stay here for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, okay? If you can't put up with us for, maybe 2 hours a week, okay? I don't know how you think you're going to get anything, make anything in this community look better.
Or solve anything with anybody you're having an issue with, because that's why the problems are proliferating. It's the total and complete lack of communication. And what I don't get about our public officials is they are literally paid to go out and communicate with community members, presumably anyway, right, to keep the place organized and safe. But they won't do that with us, and I see them not doing that with everybody else, and it's not helping anything. So next week we'll be back. Hopefully we can have an intelligent discourse. We'll see. We're going to meet them down at the court and see what type of new punishment they have, new lashes and whips, because that's, I guess, what the white people in this community want. They want us beaten, whipped, and fined for using our free speech. So if that's what you guys are advocating for, that's what you're going to allow. I don't think it's a good look. I would suggest something else, but I can see nobody wants my suggestions. So
we're going to keep on getting out here until we can't, folks.
Mm-hmm. And if free speech is going to die here in Portland with this protest, then so be it. I mean, if you guys hate me and my husband so much that you decide that this is a crime, what we are doing here today, that will have national implications for absolutely everybody who has a grievance in America. So I don't think it's a good path, but
that's what you're going to be choosing.
You're welcome to do as you wish. So we're going to shut it down. We'll say our mantra, and then we're going to pack it in and leave.
Folks, it's real easy. Here's how it goes. I am the value.
I am the value.
You are the value.
You are the value.
We are the value.
We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value. I am the value. You are the value. We are the value.
Value. Folks, you have to remember that, okay? Because what is happening right now, what the people in power are doing, there's a lot of the sleight of hand stuff going on. They're getting ready to take the value system. They're going to transform it to something else. While it's in transition, though, we have the opportunity to get a hold of it and make what is actually valuable. And folks, that is you.
That's
okay?
people.
That's
people. And again, I do want to put out again to anybody that'll listen. I really think that, with the homeless community, working with people, giving them caregivers, giving them individualized plans to help them create, pathways back to society that they can be excited about. I think that'd be a good way to start helping people. And I really do believe if you tied the money to the individualized plans, you'd be more accountable for where the funds, people would be more accountable for where the funds are disappearing to, because I can't believe it seems to all be wasted, everything. Just like, in some ways, this protest, it's gone on and on and on because, we can't have media attention, our public officials won't come down here. But then more and more people are upset at the protest, and then the problem never gets solved. And so we have to start thinking outside of the box. That's what me and my husband are going to continue to do. And we will see everybody next week for week 91.
Thank you, Multnomah Village.
Thank you, Multnomah Village. God bless.